Okay, cut.
Wow, Neil Armstrong. Hey, wait a minute. You're supposed to be on the moon. I just saw it on TV.
Oh, there's a tape delay, and with all solar winds.
You really like it, did you? You're the one who said you walked on the moon when you didn't. Calling the kettle black, if you ever thought of it. Saying I misrepresented myself.
Away from me.
You're a coward and a liar and a thief.
What's up, world? Welcome back to the J-Rated Wisdom TV. I'm J-Rated and I'm here with another video. And today I'm talking to you guys from the moon. And don't worry, flat earthers. Won't be able to debunk this video. Like a wise man once said, you can tell it's real because it looks fake.
And you can tell it's real because it looks so fake, honestly.
Look, I can even see Starman from here. Hey Starman. Hey, I'm going to need a ride back home. Can you help me with that? Well, he didn't say anything, or even move. So I don't know if that was a yes or no. Hopefully he does come back for me. I do have gas money. In the meantime, let's get back to the video.
July 16th, 1969.
10, 9, ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour. Liftoff on Apollo 11.
Americans crowd highways and beaches to witness the launch of Apollo 11 from the Kennedy Space Center. On board, astronauts Michael Collins, Buzz Aldrin, and Neil Armstrong.
Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
From the Oval Office, President Nixon watches along with 600 million people worldwide.
We copy you on the ground. You got a bunch of guys about to turn blue.
Biggest TV audience ever at that time. On July 20th, the world sees the first men, Americans, walk on the moon.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Hello, Neil and Buzz.
From the White House, the president congratulates the astronauts.
I just can't tell you how proud we all are of what you have done. For every American, this has to be the proudest day of our lives.
The promise John Kennedy made at the start of the decade has been fulfilled. America has won the space race. It is Americans who show the world the view from the moon.
Moon landing conspiracy theories claim that some or all elements of the Apollo program and the associated moon landings were hoaxes staged by NASA, possibly with the aid of other organizations. The most notable claim is that the 6-man landings between 1969 to 1971 were faked, and that 12 Apollo astronauts did not actually walk on the moon.
What?
So what do you think? You think we went to the moon? Now let's go through some conspiracy theories about the moon landing. That's true though. On the moon, there's no air to inhale. There's no breezes to make the flags planted there by the Apollo astronauts' floater. You can literally see the flag fluttering. Here, check it out. It was, indeed, waving. What the fuck? But how? There is no atmosphere on the moon.
You're probably wondering how the pull of gravity between us and the moon affects things on the moon. The moon has no atmosphere. There are no plants or animals there. There's no ocean. There are no tides.
So if there's no atmosphere on the moon, why was the flag fluttering? Well, let's see what scientists have to say.
You've probably heard of those flapping flags, which, as the conspiracy theorists point out, are impossible on the moon with no air or wind. And yet, here they are, countless shots of Old Glory flapping away. But take a closer look. These flags all have an extendable rod along the top. Without it, they'd just lie limp. So, on the moon, this rod gets extended, but the flags often get left with creases. Plus, when the astronauts assemble the flag, they have to twist an upper pole into a lower pole, which they've hammered into the ground. And it's this twisting motion which rotates the rod and sets the hanging flag swinging under the moon's own gravity.
Okay, that is a good explanation. But explain this.
An engineer by the name of William Bryan released his book, Moongate, Suppressed Findings of the US Space Program. Although Bryan did not dispute that men have been to the moon, he pointed out that during the Apollo 14 flag ceremony, the flag waved, despite the fact that there is no air on the moon. In fact, some form of flag movement was always seen on every Apollo landing. In 2007, YouTube user Green Magoos purchased the Apollo 15 DVD set from Spacecraft Films and analysed the videos taken during the second EVA. What he found showed that the American flag on Apollo 15 waved when astronaut David Scott ran past it.
Oh, you look colorful. That's it. Even with the dirt, huh? Okay. You like that flag there, Joe? It's beautiful. Yeah, we think it's pretty nice, too.
Crazy, huh? Now let's jump to the next moon landing hoax claim. Yeah, how was that possible? How did they get through the Van Allen belts? If now in 2018 we have way better technology, we can't get through the Van Allen belts.
Beginning at an altitude of 1,000 miles and extending an additional 25,000 miles, lay lethal bands of radiation called the Van Allen radiation belts. Every space mission in history with humans on board, from both the United States and Soviet Union, from the first in 1961 to the present, has been well below this deadly radiation field. Mercury, Gemini, Soyuz, Skylab, the Space Shuttle, all maintained altitudes well below 1,000 miles. All except Apollo. In 1998, the Space Shuttle flew to an altitude of 350 miles, one of its highest altitudes ever, hundreds of miles below the beginning of a field of radiation that was so severe that the astronauts inside of their shielded spacecraft and inside of their shielded spacesuits saw flashes of light with their eyes shut that they described as shooting stars, due to radiation penetrating first the shuttle's shielding, then their spacesuit shielding, then their skulls, and finally the retinas of their closed eyes. As a result, CNN issued the following report, noting NASA's unpredicted surprise. The radiation belt surrounding Earth may be more dangerous for spacewalking astronauts than previously believed. Scientists say the phenomena known as the Van Allen belts can spawn killer electrons when the Earth's magnetic field changes. These electrons that are being studied could have an important effect, not only on satellites, which has happened in the past, but could also affect the astronauts by creating large doses of radiation that could influence their health. The electrons can penetrate through various materials, including spacesuits, and can pass through, in fact, the walls of the space station, and can create high charges deep inside of these objects.
So you're telling me they got through all that radiation in the Van Allen belts with the technology they had back then, but now we can't. Let's see what NASA has to say.
As we get further away from Earth, we'll pass through the Van Allen belts, an area of dangerous radiation. Radiation like this could harm the guidance systems, onboard computers, or other electronics on Orion. Naturally, we have to pass through this danger zone twice, once up and once back. But Orion has protection. Shielding will be put to the test as the vehicle cuts through the waves of radiation. Sensors aboard will record radiation levels for scientists to study. We must solve these challenges before we send people through this region of space. For this flight, it's time to head home.
So NASA is doing tests to get through the Van Allen belts. Wait, didn't they get through the Van Allen belts already? Man, they landed on the moon. Okay, so let's ask an astronaut that went to the moon. How did they get past the Van Allen belts?
When interviewed, Alan Bean of Apollo 12 initially stated that he had not gone through the belts and did not observe any effects caused by them.
Any ill effects from the Van Allen radiation belts?
No. Now, I'm not sure we went far enough out to encounter the Van Allen radiation belt. No. Now, I'm not sure we went far enough out to encounter the Van Allen radiation belt. Maybe we did.
When it was pointed out that the flight pattern took him through the belts, he changed his story.
The belts are 1,000 miles to 25,000 miles above the Earth.
Then we went right out through them.
No effects on your cells?
We didn't even know it. I don't think anybody, well, maybe somebody said you went through the radiation belt, but we didn't feel it inside, and we didn't get any, added radiation.
The space shuttle went to 365 miles a few years ago. Because I worked in news. I saw CNN. They said that the radiation belts surrounding Earth are more dangerous than previously believed because the astronauts saw shooting stars with their eyes closed just when they got within 600.
Radiation belt. We saw shooting stars, but they're not shooting stars from with your eyes closed, although they look like it.
That was astronaut Alan Bean from Apollo 12 saying he didn't even realize he went through the Van Allen belts. Like, come on, man. You telling me he didn't even know he went through the Van Allen belts with all that so-called radiation? That is the only reason we can't go back to the moon now.
In 1976, 4 years after Apollo 17 made the last journey to the moon, a technical writer called Bill Kaysing, who had access to NASA's spaceflight documents, claimed that the moon landings were in fact a hoax. In his book, We Never Went to the Moon, Kaysing calculated that the chance of a successful moon landing was as small as 0.0017%, because NASA lacked the technical capabilities to fulfill the mission. Nexus publisher Marcus Allen agrees with Kaysing that the difficulty is not getting to the moon, but getting people to the moon. And the main thing stopping us is the James Van Allen radiation belt. This is a layer of charged particles held in place by Earth's magnetic field. In order to reach the moon, Apollo astronauts would have to pass through this belt without any lead shielding on their spacecrafts, exposing them to fatal levels of radiation. For these reasons, it's suspected that the footage from NASA's interstellar missions is entirely staged.
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again.
So we destroyed the only technology that got us through the Van Allen belts. But why? And now it's too much work to rebuild it. Like, come on, man. That's why you guys get billions of dollars a year. Now I want to show you guys something before I end the video, which I will be making a part 2 on the moon landing. But I want to talk about something before I end this video, and it has to do with religion. If you guys believe in the Bible, or even if you don't believe in the Bible, wouldn't it be easy to swear on the Bible that you walk on the moon, if you truly did walk on the moon? I know I would have. What do I have to lie? Well, producer and director Bart Cybrel asked Neil Armstrong to swear on the Bible. He even offered him $5,000 that he could donate to any charity he wanted. Now let's see what happens.
Mr. Armstrong, Bart Cybrel, ABC Digital. Wanted to give you the opportunity to swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon. Will you put your left hand on the Bible and swear to God that you walked on the moon?
Gentlemen. Mr. Cybrel.
Yes? If you really walked on the moon, why would you not do that? So why don't you just put the end to the record in the argument and put your hand on the Bible, swear to God you walked on the moon.
Mr. Cybrel, knowing you, that's probably a fake Bible.
Really? Well, no, it's a real Bible. You have the opportunity to have $5,000.
The meeting is not open.
Well, you have $5,000 cash. You can give it to charity if you swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon.
Please
I have the tape.
It'd be fine.
Why don't you swear to... Why not? Why won't you do it? So why don't you put your hand on the Bible and swear to God that you walked on the moon?
Mr. Cybrel has made a fool of himself in front of the world. Mr. Cybrel, you do not deserve answers.
Why wouldn't Neil Armstrong just swear on the Bible to shut him up and give the money to charity? But that's not the only astronaut he asked to swear on the Bible. Check this out.
Well, you're talking to the wrong guy. Why don't you talk to the administrator at NASA? We're passengers. We're guys going on a flight.
I don't hit people, but you're going to be on the deck unless you get...
I'm heading out. I appreciate it.
And get the hell out of my house.
Well, take your stuff and get the fuck out.
Why don't you quote me and say it's bullshit?
I mean, the shadows in the wrong place. I don't give a damn about all that shit.
You're the one who said you walked on the moon when you didn't. Calling the kettle black, if I ever thought of it. Saying I misrepresented myself.
Away from me.
You're a coward and a liar and a thief. Why don't you swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon? Why don't you swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon?
I'm not trying to get you tell him to get out of here. This is a hotel. We'll call the police. We pay. Come on in here. We'll call the police. You like that? Why don't you swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon?
It doesn't, sir. I have nothing to do with this. But you cannot solicit on this property.
We just paid to rent out the penthouse to shoot up there. So
you can't solicit like this on this property.
Keep shooting.
All right. Well, then I go through my measures.
Yeah. You got to keep shooting, man. Okay. Well, you can put it on your shoulder. Don't be shy.
Come with me, Buzz.
You really like it?
You're the one who said you walked on the moon when you didn't. Calling the kettle black, if I ever thought of it. Saying I misrepresented myself.
Away from me.
You're a coward and a liar and a thief. Coward and a liar and a thief. And a thief. And a thief.
Did he just punch him? Well, that is it for this video. If you want to see more on the moon landing, make sure you give the video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification button. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Peace out, world. Hey Starman, can you come pick me up now?